This is the Bohemian Grove. So he mentioned that your leaders meet up in a secret forest and they run around naked. Well, let's take a look. At the Bohemian Grove in California, we can see clearly it looks like some kind of religious ritual. We can see there's a big owl, and then there's an altar that's blazing on fire. And if you look where the word grove is, the person standing in front of the word grove is wearing a Catholic mitra. So it definitely looks like a religious ceremony. On the right-hand side, we can see Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is literally inside of the belly of an owl. So it's actually built into the architecture, at least the landscaping. It's literally a building that was built in the belly of the beast, right? Because an owl would be a beast, it's a bird. So we have a building inside the belly of the beast. And the Capitol building, if you do your research, was actually modeled after St. Peter's Basilica, the Capitol. So we have a synergy here in architecture. And we also have the Bohemian Grove, which obviously isn't Washington, D.C., but it is a part of the United States. And we have this Catholic mitra in front of this man that's standing in front of a giant owl effigy. Bohemian Grove, where the rich and powerful go to misbehave. We've done a whole Sabbath study on this before, so we're not going to go through all of the details of the Bohemian Grove. If you want to see it, just go watch it again. It was based on truth. This was posted by the Washington Post. So Jim Carrey was making a mocking comment saying that your rich and powerful leaders go meet in the woods. Well, that would be the Bohemian Grove. And this was covered multiple times by multiple researchers. So no matter how many times these people try to make it a sarcastic undertone and laugh it off, there's a lot of information to back it up. He also said that they discuss world plans and that they run around naked. Can we prove they run around naked? Absolutely we can. If we take a look here, we can actually see two presidents. On the right, we can see Richard Nixon. On the left, we can see Ronald Reagan. Both of which in this photo were not presidents at the time. So two men from the Bohemian Grove, before they were presidents, were at the Grove and then later became presidents. So is there some truth in the fact that the rich and powerful go to the Grove? Well, I would say yes, because a president is a pretty prominent position. Here's some other examples, and you'll never find the full list, but you can see people like Henry Kissinger. He was actually right-hand man to Richard Nixon. George Shultz, Gerald Ford. I won't go through all of them, but this was 1977, Bohemian Grove Camp. You might notice some other names in there as well. Rich and powerful? I would say so. How about this? Homosexual prostitution inquiry ensnares VIP with Reagan, Bush. Callboys took midnight tour of the White House. They actually have a stub because you have to understand, you can't just walk in the White House and do whatever you want. You have to actually have an invitation. So there was actually a ticket stub. So there's a record that there were callboys that came to the White House. This isn't the Bohemian Grove, but this is the White House. And some of the same people that were at the Grove, we saw Reagan there. Bush was there as well, multiple times, Bush Jr. and Bush Sr. What's the connection here with this strange kind of sexuality? And this was back in June of 1989.
Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati, and you're a part of it, and it is the all-mocking tongue.
Oh, I like it.
It's the symbol of the all-mocking tongue.
But you, come here, you children of a sorceress, you offspring of adulterers and prostitutes. Who are you mocking? At whom do you sneer and stick out your tongue? Are you not a brood of rebels, the offspring of liars?
Right? Yeah.
What is it?
Come on, Jimmy. Seriously, the time is up. People are hip to this kind of stuff. I'm here tonight to blow the lid off it, to be the whistleblower. I'm sick and tired of the secrets and the lies. It is the secret symbol of the Illuminati.
Whom do you sneer and stick out your tongue? Are you not a brood of rebels, the offspring of liars?
Talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. You know, and they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things and, you know, look at them trying to come it up.
It is nestled among the redwoods, 2,700 acres of pristine land, broken down into dozens of camps. And for 2 weeks every July since the 1880s, they've been filled with some of the most wealthy and powerful men in the world. Many of them arrive on their corporate jets at the nearby Sonoma County Airport. Others arrive in fancy cars, which will fill the on-site parking lot. At its height, there is said to be more than 2,000 men who attend, and as you can imagine, they are well protected by a trove of police.
This is private property.
Yeah, I know. So we were out covering the protest, and we just wanted to see if there was anyone
I would
that
like
could
you
give
guys
us.
to get off the property, please.
There's no way we could just get an escort?
No, and I'll have the police come and arrest you if you don't leave, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Access is by invitation only, and most pay more than $15,000 to attend. And for more than 35 years, protesters have stood at the entrance gates.
Our concern is not what's going on inside of the Grove, but what's happening outside of the Grove with the people that are in here.
According to several reports, this is where the idea for the Manhattan Project was conceived back in 1942. It's also where every Republican president since the 60s has spent time before actually becoming the nominee.
We know for sure that Richard Nixon and Ronald Reagan sat down and had conversation about who was going to run for president when. And they made a deal.
Peter Phillips wrote his dissertation on the Bohemian Club in 1994 and was invited to attend for 4 days. He witnessed firsthand the opening event, the cremation of care, where the power elite leave their cares behind in a symbolic ceremony beneath Moloch the owl, seen in this photo. Jed Jankel says he was a paid employee of the Grove and drove the horse and buggy that carried the casket in the ceremony.
The casket represented their cares, and they would actually burn it in their along the lake with music.
This is a place filled with secrets that only those who go inside and perhaps the trees will ever really know. But I was able to get my hands on some photographs that I want to show you just to give you a sense on what it looks like on the inside. This is a photograph of people who attend. As we mentioned, it is all men, and this is a photograph of some of them. This here was taken back in 1999. Colin Powell, the back of Donald Rumsfeld's head. And this is Thomas Keane. 2 years later, he would become head of the 9/11 Commission. Here's a picture, Newt Gingrich, Henry Kissinger's son, and another shot of Thomas Keane.
Here's a much younger Dick Cheney at the Grove, and Henry Kissinger having a little fun. I was also able to get my hands on several programs from previous years, outlining the schedule of talks and their topics.
And what we have here on July 22nd, 2008, is the Lakeside Talk given by CFR member and Trilateral Commission member Fred Starr. He gave a talk called Afghanistan, the Unexpected Upside.
There are other connections to be made as well between the Lakeside talks and public policies that follow.
This was a man that was involved in the oil business, George Linkowitz, the Persian Gulf crisis. This is 1980. Caspar Weinberger, who was the Secretary of Defense in the Reagan administration on rearming America. And that's easily documented. The arms buildup came in around late 81, 82.
There are rumors of extreme drunkenness, of prostitutes, and of homosexual activities by members. But for the most part, it is the secret backroom agreements critics say should be brought to light.
That agreement can be, occupying the Middle East, fighting terrorism, encircling China politically and militarily.
For Mary Moore, who's been researching Bohemian Grove for more than 3 decades, what happens inside is symptomatic of a much larger problem.
We've all grown up taking civics, trying to understand how the world works, and we're all told that we elect representatives, they go to Washington, we have total influence over them, and they make decisions that are in the best interests of us. Then we start growing up, and if we pay any kind of attention, we find out that none of that is true.
In Monterey, California, Christine Frizzau, RT.
Talk show hosts, people on television, people in sitcoms have been hired by the government to throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on. And they get out there in the woods in a circle naked and they decide these things and, and look at them trying to come it up.
Whom do you sneer and stick out your tongue? Are you not a brood of rebels, the offspring of liars? But you, come here, you children of a sorceress. You offspring of adulterers and prostitutes. You offspring of adulterers and prostitutes. You offspring of adulterers and prostitutes.
To throw you off the track, to distract you, to make you laugh and stuff like that, make you happy and docile so you don't know what's really going on.
Here's the Bohemian Grove. Now, this looks like a group of women, but women weren't allowed to actually come anywhere near the Bohemian Grove until a court case in the 80s. And these are men. These are men that are cross-dressing. So your world leaders are actually cross-dressing or watching men that are cross-dressing. And this is supposed to be a completely normal environment. You wonder why there's such strange decisions going on. Reagan in Sex Camp Rumpus. Brothel keeper reveals, I provided girls for camp where Reagan elite loved to frolic.
But it isn't just down in the ratty part of town, but the upper class in San Francisco is that way. The Bohemian Grove that I attend, from time to time, the Easters and the others that come there, but it is the most faggy goddamn thing you will ever imagine in San Francisco crowd because it's just terrible. I mean, I can watch shake hands with anybody in San Francisco.
So are the leaders doing perverse sexual things? What did Richard Nixon say? Nixon wasn't one of the greatest presidents by any means, but at the same time, he wasn't very fond of the Bohemian Grove. Yeah, he obviously attended it from time to time, but what's this comment? It is the most faggoty, and I'll just leave it at that. What are you seeing? What did the newspaper say? Is it a conspiracy? Do you think Jim Carrey might be gaslighting people that actually study this stuff? And if this stuff is true, What does that mean for the world that you live in? What kind of decisions are being made? At the same time, there were things involving 9/11, there were things involving Afghanistan, and the members were there. And they're using biblical symbolism, because I can take it right back to the book of Isaiah. That should shock you. Here's a picture from 1908. This has obviously been going on for quite some time. There's actually pictures of people who've been hung here, dead bodies of children. This is all public knowledge. But again, who researches this stuff? Here's some of the performers. Notice how some of them look like angels and some of them look like devils or demons. And this is supposed to be normal. I can say that most adults of at least the generation that I grew up with, they would never participate in something like this. It looks completely ridiculous. And keep in mind, like, look at the time frame here. This was obviously not yesterday. Pretty racy for that time. But we're talking about the children of a sorceress. Children of a sorceress is in Isaiah 57:3, and they're known for sticking out their tongue. And we've studied the Hindu gods, and there's a specific goddess, because a sorceress is a female. There's a specific goddess who sticks out her tongue, and they also stick out their tongues. And we just think they're being cool or they're being trendy. No, this is a cult. This is a cult from the Old Testament. If you watch these people and what they're trying to do, they're trying to pervert your mind. That's it. It's simple. Because as soon as you start behaving like them, they don't have to do this in secret anymore.
Syndrome. This is intriguing. I believe the word is evil, people. Evil! This will come in real handy when they redecorate hell. Can't you just feel the darkness, the dark forces working within it? It's enough to make a nun go bald. Intriguing. I believe the word is evil, people. Evil! This will come in real handy when they redecorate hell. Can't you just feel the darkness, the dark forces working within it? It's enough to make a nun go bald.
So this is on the US dollar. It's kind of interesting. We have Jim Carrey with the mocking tongue say it's a symbol of what? Evil. It's a symbol of evil. Now Jim Carrey is preaching meditation. I told you what the all-seeing eye represented. It represents the pineal gland. The pineal gland is that dot that you would see on the Hindus. It's called the bindi. That dot represents the third eye. Clearly behind him, you can see the lotus position of meditation. So you'll see that there's a trend. You can see the symbol of the tongue. You can see the symbol of the all-seeing eye. And now we're getting to what? Transcendental meditation. Just like the Beatles, just like Van Halen, just like Katy Perry, who said she sold her soul to the devil. And the list goes on.
Years ago, when I was doing Andy Kaufman, I learned how to meditate, and it's been very valuable. It's been around for a while, but I mean, I think on a widespread level, it's being picked up by everybody now. It's being understood as something more than some kind of religious, nutty thing. It's a system of teaching yourself how to get into a state of relaxation that affects your entire life and the quality of your life. And I do it. I've done it for a while, and I recommend it highly.
So it's a state of meditation that will profoundly affect your life. I wonder if that's in a good way or an evil way. I guess it depends how you apply it. Here's another one. This is Miley Cyrus, Hannah Montana. She used to be a Disney child. It's funny how the Disney child turned out so weird. So here she is sticking out her tongue, pointing at it, sign of the horns, because I guess she's just rocking it out, even though Gene Simmons, KISS stood for Knights in Satan's Service. And then we can see her meditating. And then again, behind her, what do you see? A mouth with a tongue sticking out of it, just like the Rolling Stones. Interesting. And then beside this, you can see Miley Cyrus reading The Science of Self-Realization by Hare Krishna's founder, Swami, and excuse my pronunciation, Prabhupada. So again, do you see the transcendental meditation connection? Can you see the tongue that you see in the book of Isaiah? Can you see that they're portraying things that would be evil, unbiblical? Not the meditation part, their behavior. They're acting like a bunch of animals. I remember there's a mark of the beast. I wonder if there's a connection. As a matter of fact, you can actually tell that the book she's holding in her hand, here's the cover. Now, if you look at the cover, we can clearly see there's a Hindu god. We've studied Satanism. We've looked in the Satanic Bible. And what do we notice? The Hindu gods were listed, Kali and Shiva. Now, if we look at this picture on the right here, we have two gods. One is Vishnu. Vishnu is the one on the front cover. And then beside him is Parvati, but it's Kali. They take on these different aspects. You'd have to study the religion to get more insight on that. But one represents the sun and one represents the moon. If you look behind the head of one, you can clearly see there's a sun, which by default means the other one is the moon. So the male is the sun and the female is the moon. And notice the female is sticking her tongue out. And she's reading a book on this specific ideology. Where do you think she got the idea of sticking her tongue out, or Jim Carrey, or anyone else? Because this is in the book of Isaiah. This is nothing new. Jim Carrey told you, this is nothing new. If you notice, you can see here in this picture, we can see on one side Shiva, And on the other side, we can see Parvati. And then she's sitting on top of a cat. And now we see Miley Cyrus with a cat's face on stage, winking with its tongue out. At what point do you just accept that they're doing what they're doing? This person isn't some model citizen. This person's making some pretty perverse stuff and affecting young ladies here. They're fairly normal. The next year, they're doing stuff that looks nothing like they were years ago. And you also notice that in the hand of this specific goddess, what does she have? A trident, like the devil. Figure that one out. So we have a woman sitting on a beast. Do we have a woman on a beast in the Bible? Famous people just all do the same thing because they're trendy. So she's sitting on a giant cat. Well, this is very similar to Miley Cyrus. And this was Katy Perry, who in an interview said, I wanted to be like the Amy Grant of Christian music, but it didn't work out, so I sold my soul to the devil. That's her exact quote. Notice that she's wearing this shirt that looks like fire. So it's like we have fire sitting on top of the moon.